Alright, today we're looking at the newest baseball stadiums in the world. 10 ballparks from 8 different countries around the globe. How big are they? What do they look like? How much did they cost? When I say stadiums, I mean stadiums, not little fields. Over 10,000 capacity. That means there won't be any stadiums from Europe or Australia. No college, minor league, or independent league parks either. Although those do sometimes seat over 10,000. I decided to just go with stadiums used by the highest level leagues or for the highest level events. If you know of a good little ballpark, maybe minor league, independent league, or in a country with a semi-pro or amateur league, mention it in the comments. Tell us about it. People here are always interested to hear about those little gems out there. I just won't be including any on this list here, that's all. And when I say baseball stadium, I mean one that was built specifically for baseball. Doesn't need a professional tenant team, just a stadium where baseball is the primary use. Any other use is secondary. As a result, these will all be in countries where baseball is one of the top sports. But that doesn't mean the list will be dominated by 1 or 2 countries. Like I said before, 10 stadiums, 8 countries. And I'll add to that 3 continents. For the stadiums that do have a pro team playing there, you'll notice that the team often does a lot better after moving into their new venue. That hasn't always been the case historically, but with most of the ones you'll hear about in this video, the new place has led to more winning. These will go in order by their opening date, but I take opening date to mean the first time a game is played there. Sometimes a stadium will have an official opening date, a little ceremony takes place, but nothing happens after that. So I'm going by the date of the first live action on the field. Number 10, we start in Nicaragua's capital city of Managua at Estadio Martinez, named after the first Nicaraguan to play in Major League Baseball. Construction began in 2015. Opening game was on October 20th, when Nicaragua's national team took on the national team from Taiwan. Dennis Martinez himself, known locally as El Presidente, was in attendance, along with the actual El Presidente of Nicaragua, Daniel Ortega. Soon after that, it hosted the 2017 Central American Games. Capacity is 15,560. The stadium was sponsored by the government of Taiwan, so it was fitting that the first event there was a 3-game series between Nicaragua and Taiwan. The stadium is used by Indios del Bor, the winningest team in league history, but the new ballpark hasn't done anything to raise their performance. In the 7 years since moving in, they've only won 1 title, whereas in the previous 7 seasons they won it 3 times. They've also finished last in 3 of the past 4 seasons. Number 9, this one takes us to the U.S. with Truist Park, home of the Atlanta Braves. Broke ground on September 16th of 2014, and it was open for business 2.5 years later. The first ever game played there was March 31st of 2017, a preseason game between the Braves and the Yankees. The official opening was on April 8th, but not a Braves game. 33,000 fans showed up to watch the University of Georgia beat the University of Missouri. The first Braves game was on April 14th, 2017. The late Hank Aaron was there to throw out the first pitch, and the Braves beat the Padres 5-2. Official ballpark capacity is 41,084. The highest attendance there was on October 9th, 2023 in the National League Division Series between the Braves and Phillies. Dimensions are pretty standard, 400 feet to center, 335 to left, 325 to right. Construction cost was $622 million. Originally called SunTrust Park, the name changed to Truist Park before the 2020 season. It replaced the old Turner Field, the Braves' home from 1997 to 2016. The new ballpark brought the seats closer to the field without reducing the foul territory. LED lighting and air conditioning on every level. Beyond the center field wall are 3 evergreen trees, a boulder and a waterfall feature called Chattahoochee Falls. At Monument Garden, you'll find a statue of Hank Aaron, along with 755 bats, matching his career home run total. Also on display there are the real bat and ball used when he hit his record-breaking 715th. And the new park has meant new success. The Braves had not won the World Series since 1995, not won a pennant since '99, not won a division title since 2013. But in 2021, just their 5th year in Truist Park, they won the NL pennant and their 4th World Series title. And they have won the NL East division title 6 years in a row. Only their first year at the new venue did they not win the division title. Number 8, in Colombia we have yet another new ballpark named after a famous former MLB player, Estadio Edgar Renteria in the city of Barranquilla. Edgar Renteria was a World Series MVP, the most famous Colombian ball player. No doubt he was going to get a stadium named after him. And the park is used by Colombia's most famous team, Caimanes de Barranquilla. Cost of construction was 45 billion Colombian pesos, $11.4 million by today's exchange rate. The surface is artificial turf, 400 feet to center, 325 to both left and right. Built in 2018 with a capacity of 12,000, it was built on the site of the former stadium of Caimanes, Estadio Tomás Arrieta, which was demolished in 2016. The first event held at the new stadium was an international friendly tournament, featuring the national teams of Colombia, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and Venezuela, on May 1, 2018. In that same year, it was used for the 2018 Central American and Caribbean Games, and the Under-23 Baseball World Cup, and it's one of two stadiums they're looking at as a possible host for the next WBC qualifier. How has this affected the tenant team? Well, Caimanes were already a team known for winning, usually winning the league title every few years or so, but they've stepped it up even more since moving into the new park. They won the league crown their first year in Edgar Renteria Stadium, the 2018 to 2019 season, and they've won the championship 4 out of the 6 years since the stadium opened. The biggest achievement, of course, was becoming the first Colombian team to win the Caribbean Series in 2021. Number 7 takes us to Mexico. Here we'll also see someone's name up there, Estadio Alfredo Harp. But Alfredo Harp is not a former player. He's the owner of the tenant team, Diablos Rojos del Mexico. He also owns another team in the Mexican League, and part of the San Diego Padres ownership group, worth $1.5 billion, so he could afford to put his name on the stadium. Construction cost of the stadium was around $180 million. It opened on March 23, 2019 with a capacity of 20,062. On that day, Rojos played an exhibition game against the San Diego Padres. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, AMLO for short, was there to throw out the first pitch. It was the first time since 1947 that a Mexican president had done so. 2 weeks later, the first regular season game was held there, on April 5th, between Rojos and their rival, Tigres de Quintana Roo, the first ever Mexico City series, a 2-game regular season MLB series, was scheduled for April of 2020. Of course, that was canceled, but it finally did take place on April 29th and 30th of last year between the San Francisco Giants and the San Diego Padres. Mexico City's elevation is 7,350 feet, 2,240 meters, much higher than any major league city, resulting in a lot of home runs and some ridiculously high scores. Game 1 of last year's series between the Giants and Padres saw a final score of 16-11. It's a little larger than usual, 410 feet to center, 332 to both left and right. Artificial turf on the ground. No effect on performance for Rojos, though. They are the winningest team in Mexican League history, with 16 Serie del Rey titles, but they have not won the league title nor a division title since 2014, a 10-year drought covering 5 years before and 5 years after the opening of the new stadium. Always one of the best teams, but they have yet to celebrate a championship at their new home. Number 6, across the Pacific to Korea, Changwon NC Park opened on March 23, 2019, the exact same date that Estadio Harp opened in Mexico City. But due to the time difference, March 23rd in Korea came before March 23rd in Mexico. It's used by the KBO's NC Dinos, one of the league's newest teams. 400 feet to center, 331 to left and right, natural grass surface, capacity 22,112, which is a bit on the larger side for a KBO stadium. Construction began in June of 2016. It was influenced by modern American stadiums, so has a different feel than other KBO ballparks. Opening ceremony was on March 18th, but the first live action on the field was on March 23rd, KBO opening day, when the Dinos beat the Samsung Lions 7-0. The new home led to instant success for the NC Dinos. In 2018, before the new ballpark was complete, they were last out of the 10 teams in the KBO standings. In their first year at Changwon NC Park, they made the postseason. Second year, won their first ever Korean Series title. Since then, they've been average. Number 5, back to the USA, Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas, home to the Texas Rangers. Broke ground in September of 2017. The first time it saw any use was on May 29, 2020. A horrible time to open a new ballpark. On that day, it was used for a high school graduation. First exhibition game was on July 21st. First regular season game 3 days later, a 1-0 Rangers win over the Rockies. And the first game open to the fans was on October 12th of 2020 for the postseason. It then hosted all 6 games of the World Series without the home team being involved, a situation never before seen in MLB. Capacity is 40,300, 407 to center, 329 to left, 326 to right. Surface is artificial turf, retractable roof. Cost was $1.1 billion. It's also been used for concerts, college football, and rodeo. The Rangers have been around since 1972. This is the third venue they've called home. And in 2023, only their fourth season at the new Globe Life Field, the Rangers won their first ever World Series title. Number 4, down to Venezuela, Estadio Forum La Guaira, also opened in 2020, but not until November. It's home to Tiburones de La Guaira, one of 8 teams in Venezuela's top professional league, the LVBP. The official name is actually Estadio Jorge Luis Garcia Canero. Construction began all the way back in 2013. After 82 months of construction, it was formally inaugurated on January 5th of 2020 by Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. But the first regular season game wasn't until November 29th, when Tiburones beat Tigres de Aragua 7-1. While the new stadium was being built, Tiburones had been playing in another city, sharing a field with another team. Cost was 270 million Venezuelan bolivars. Surface uses artificial grass, 400 feet to center, 337 to both left and right. Capacity is 14,300. In addition to being the home of Tiburones, it also co-hosted the 2023 Caribbean Series. And here we go again. New ballpark, new level of success for the home team. Up until this year, Tiburones had not won a league title since 1986 and had never won the Caribbean Series. This year, in just their 4th season at the new stadium, they broke a 38-year title drought and captured their first ever Caribbean Series title. Number 3, same country, in Caracas, Venezuela, La Rinconada Baseball Stadium. This means Venezuela and USA are the only 2 countries with 2 stadiums listed here. Prior to these 2 stadiums opening in Venezuela, all their stadiums were really old, most of them built in the 1950s or 60s. Also known as Monumental Stadium of Caracas Simón Bolivar, its construction began in 2013, but due to delays it would be 10 years before it opened. February 2, 2023 was the official opening of the stadium for the 2023 Caribbean Series. On that day, 35,961 fans showed up to see Venezuela versus Panama, a record for a baseball game in Venezuela. The Venezuelan League's most popular team, Leones del Caracas, moved in and made it their home the following winter. Full capacity is 36,500. Dimensions 405 to center, 341 to left, 330 to right. Built with a modern design that connects fans with the connecting park and surrounding nature. As for effect on the home team's performance, too early to judge. Leones del Caracas are already the winningest team in league history. In their first year at La Rinconada Stadium, they were 2nd in the regular season standings, 3rd in the postseason, just missing out on making the final series, which is pretty typical for this ball club. Number 2, back to East Asia, on Japan's northernmost island of Hokkaido, Escon Field officially opened on March 14th of 2023 for a preseason game. The first regular season game was on March 30th to kick off the 2023 NPB season. Escon Field is the home of the Hokkaido Nippon Ham Fighters. It was built to replace the Fighters' former home, the Sapporo Dome, which was a multi-purpose facility often seen as the ugliest ballpark in NPB. Hokkaido is a cold, snowy place, so a roof is necessary for the spring and fall months, but that also means it has a rather mild summer. Naturally, a retractable roof was desired, so that's what they built. Construction began on April 13th of 2020, and the total cost was estimated to be $530 million. Seating capacity is 35,000. It's 397 to center, 318 to left, and 325 to right. Surface is grass, Kentucky bluegrass, built with the surrounding entertainment district. There's a hotel with rooms overlooking the field, a hot spring and sauna with a view of the field. The hotel's name is Tower 11, after the number worn by Yu Darvish and Shohei Ohtani when they played for the Fighters. After just 1 season at Escon Field, nothing has changed for the Fighters. Despite turning out a couple of the greatest Japanese ballplayers ever, they're a team known mostly for losing. They finished in last place their final year at Sapporo Dome, and they were last in their first year at Escon Field, but they're expecting a turnaround this season. For number 1, we stay in the region but to another country. Taiwan's Taipei Dome finally opened in October of 2023 after construction faced a series of delays spanning more than 11 years. It was first really used in December for the Asian Baseball Championship, open to restricted crowd sizes. The largest was 21,000 for the gold medal game, where Taiwan lost to Japan. The first game there open to an unrestricted number of spectators was just last week when NPB's Yomiuri Giants came to play a 2-game exhibition series versus a pair of local CPBL teams. Both games drew over 30,000, with Saturday's game drawing over 37,000, a record for a baseball game in Taiwan. Unlike the other stadiums on this list, the Taipei Dome does not have a tenant team, and probably never will. With a maximum capacity of 40,000, it's probably too big for a CPBL team. CPBL games average under 10,000, no more than 20,000. But this is a stadium built with baseball primarily in mind. It'll be used for major events like the World Baseball Classic, Premier 12, MLB exhibition games, and possibly a regular season opener. Also CPBL events like the All-Star Game. 400 feet to center, 334 to both left and right. Artificial turf on the ground, as it does not have a retractable roof. Construction cost was 37 billion Taiwan dollars, or over 1.1 billion US dollars. You could argue that Taipei Dome doesn't belong on this list because it's not only a baseball stadium, it's being used for other sporting events as well. You might also mention that it doesn't have a local professional team using it. If that's your argument, then Escon Field becomes the newest one. Every stadium gets bumped up one spot, and number 10 would then be Mexico's Estadio Yaquis, which opened in October of 2016. Korea's Daegu Samsung Lions Park also opened in 2016, but a little earlier in the year, in March. Or maybe my list is totally messed up and I completely missed one. If that's the case, please let me know in the comments. That's all for this one, and until next time, this is Baseball International. See ya!